Well, one of the things about the Radioisotope Power Systems program is it is a multi-agency program. We have NASA, which funds the construction of the radioisotope power systems, and these are referred to often as nuclear batteries. They're the power system that we use to power space probes beyond the orbit of Mars or in other areas where solar power or more conventional power systems aren't feasible. And these are built for NASA by the Department of Energy. And so what you have is NASA funding projects within our program at the DOE to construct and fabricate our flight hardware. And on the NASA side of the house, we have this thing that most folks are aware of called 7120.5 that we all are very familiar with. And so 7120.5 is on our side, and the DOE uses a different set of management tools. And so when you have NASA managers who are used to this way of doing business and the DOE who wants to do business with their own practices, it gets very interesting because the NASA folks want to see a certain amount of control, and the DOE folks, on the other hand, have their way of doing business. We have our rules that we follow. And so you have to find the common middle ground. And in fact, we did, as part of our program, when we first stood it up, we compared the two and found them to be, fortunately, very similar. Okay, so that was one of the first challenges that we had. And then getting used to, NASA likes to hear about things monthly, DOE likes to hear about things quarterly, and you have to go ahead and, you know, agencies aren't very good at telling each other what to do. I mean, we want to act as independent entities. So the key there is to develop a partnership, okay? And one of the things that does not work well in that situation is a customer-supplier type of relationship, and you really have to enter into it as a partnership. Right. And then on the other hand are the more common things that programs face, which are budget pressures, schedule pressures. You know, we in the Radioisotope Power Systems program, we've had some interesting challenges. The most recent one is budgetary. But also we were geared up and folks were ready to, we were going to provide a system called the Advanced Stirling Radioisotope Generator for our latest Discovery Discovery mission announcement that came out of Science Mission Directorate. And we were going to provide as GFE to ASRGs, as they're called, for this, for the next mission. And what ended up happening is it's a competitive environment. Folks were geared up, ready to go. And then none of those missions were selected. A solar-powered mission was selected. So what do we do now? You know, and part of the development of the ASRG was looking to fly on that mission to prove its flight readiness.
It starts with trying to understand your customers and really trying to understand, communicate with them, and get to know their priorities and their requirements. And in the case of a portfolio of projects like we have here at Glenn Research Center, we're actually working on the space side for 4 different mission directorates at NASA headquarters. So we've got really a multitude of customers that are establishing those requirements and providing us with the funding for what amounts to on the order of 50 projects totaling over $150 million in terms of budget each year. So it's very complex, and what we've tried to do to organize around that and be as effective as possible is to set up a management organization that our program managers and project managers live in that is what we call customer facing. So we have set up individual offices and aligned them to those 4 mission directorates who are our funding customers at headquarters. And that way we have individuals in those offices who can go out and establish an effective working relationship with their customers, whether they be at NASA headquarters or, let's say, at the Orion project office at Johnson Space Center in Houston, or with the SLS project office at Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. And so you start building that relationship and build a trusted relationship with your customer. They get to know you, you get to know them, and it makes it a lot easier to then do business with them effectively over time.